You can give it to, let's see, give it to Somadatri. Yeah. She will, don't chew on it though. Yeah, she needs it. Yeah. But pray for Somadatri. She's going through some difficult times now. So, thank you all for coming again. This is the third session. So just as a recap, we'll mention a little bit about the previous sessions. So who knows the title of the first presentation we made? Well, we need a microphone for the devotees too.
Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya, and his unique transcendental position and our foundational relationship with him.
Well, that was the previous lesson, but the first lesson, what was the first lesson?
His unique transcendental position.
No. No. Who knows what was the first lesson we did? That was in the other room over there. What is Guru? And we talked about, so, is Guru one or is Guru two?
One.
But he's also two, right? So which one's right?
Both.
Both. Yeah. So he's one as a position, but he's many from the position of giving Krishna consciousness to different categories of persons. So there's Shiksha Guru, there's Diksha Guru, there's those who are not up to the standard of being pure devotees, but still can act in the role of Guru. And then we spoke a little bit. What was Prabhupada's statement to all of us? What did he say? What did he want from all of us? General statement. Who can quote it exactly?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I think, as I understand, Guru Maharaj, he said everyone can preach and be a Guru.
Not everyone can. He said everyone should.
Sorry.
Must. He said, I want all of my disciples to have the title of Bhakti Vedanta. And he said, by what year?
1975.
That was, so he made that statement around 1970, I think it was. And then he established of course that came later, the governing body commission. So we heard about what is Guru and what are the different categories of Guru and how one should see the Guru and how one should approach the Guru. So that was the first lesson. Yesterday was Founder Acharya, and what was some of the main points in Founder Acharya?
The origin of the term.
The origin of the terminology of Founder Acharya. What was unusual about the terminology? There's one word that is English and one word that is Sanskrit. Founder Acharya, so that was a created terminology, but it has a very significant meaning. And what is the definition of Founder Acharya? Oops. Yes.
One who can make change in the details.
One who can make change in the details. Who is intelligent enough not to change the principle but the details.
That's one of the characteristics of the Founder Acharya, but what actually is the Founder Acharya? Yes.
He establishes the new disciplic succession.
Yeah, he establishes, what is the word that he is what?
Foundational.
That's it. He's foundational in establishing the process of bhakti. And who are some of the historical personalities that have that role?
Madhvacharya,
Madhvacharya, who else?
Ramanujacharya,
Ramanujacharya,
Nimbarka Swami,
Nimbarka.
Vishnu Swami.
Yeah, these are the four main acharyas of the four authorized sampradayas. The Sri Sampradaya, the Madhva Gauriya Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, and the Chaturshusana, or the Kumara Sampradaya. Okay, and so now we heard about one of the characteristics and activities. And where did it first appear in literary form, the statement?
The harmonists.
Was the harmonist by,
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
yeah, by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in one of his, actually one of the first editions of the harmonist. They coined the term. And what was the point that they made in correlation of the founder Acharya? What was the correlating force or opposite?
The Gaudiya Math is non-different from the founder Acharya.
Yeah, the institution is non-different than the Acharya. So that applies also for us. So we say that this is Srila Prabhupada's body. The body is the... Okay, so we can begin the third lesson, and this is called our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so who's that with Prabhupada?
Allen Ginsberg.
Okay, that is Allen Ginsberg. What date is that?
Monday, May 12.
Who knows what year that was?
1968.
No. Who knows what year was it? And where is that being held? Which place? Who knows? It's in America.
New York.
Hmm?
New York?
Who knows? It's in, did you read the Lilamrita? It's in the Lilamrita. Very elaborate description. It was in 1969 in Ohio State University, where Allen Ginsberg, after having met Prabhupada and saw Prabhupada in different venues in San Francisco and in New York, he became really inspired. He also started to chant. What did he start to chant? What? Mary had a little lamb? What did he chant? Huh? The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He was also chanting Mary Had a Little Lamb, but that was not part of his, preaching. Okay, so he was known as the guru of the hippies at the time. He was like very prominent, powerful personality. If you were into the hippie movement, that was your, Acharya, was Allen Ginsberg. And he actually went to India, came back, and then of course he met Prabhupada. And then he arranged for a program to include Srila Prabhupada. But he was the top bill, because he's the one that drew the people. And we'll see that here. Okay, someone read? Who's going to read?
On May 11, 1969, the American counterculture poet Allen Ginsberg met with Srila Prabhupada at Hare Krishna Temple in Columbus, Ohio, to discuss their program at the university. The following evening, as well as how Krishna consciousness could spread widely in materialistic America. Referring to a prophetic text from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Prabhupada assured the poet that people everywhere will take advantage of Hare Krishna for the next 10,000 years.
Prabhupada's statement was very bold. So, this was a very conservative university, and it was going to be a question of whether how much they were going to accept. Allen bin Ginsberg would get up and he would speak. He'd speak a little bit about his philosophy, and then he introduced Prabhupada. Prabhupada came on. The place was packed. There was balconies. People were in the aisles everywhere. There was 2,000 students there for that program. Prabhupada had a pair of kartals, and there were some devotees, and it was mridanga. And then Prabhupada began very softly chanting Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada started to put some energy into it and move it along. At one point, Prabhupada started to kind of like get a little uppity and then all of a sudden, starting with the aisles, starting with the balconies, students got up, started dancing. And there wasn't hardly any room because it was so packed. Then everybody got up. And it was tumultuous. It was tumultuous. People were just screaming. It was the talk of the entire college for days. What Prabhupada came, and he just blew the place apart. And he was singing, and everybody was dancing, and it was like, and they were, I think some of them were crying also. It was so powerful. Prabhupada leading kirtan. And this went on. And of course, Allen Ginsberg was amazed to see that. Because, he couldn't do that with his audience. But Prabhupada did it. So, but Prabhupada said one thing here, which was very fundamental. He said, people everywhere will take advantage of this Hare Krishna movement for the next 10,000 years. He said something very prophetic, which is mentioned in the book, The Hare Krishna Explosion by Hayagriva. And we hear that often, that this movement will spread for the next 10,000 years. Continually going up, because it's not about us. We're not going to make it happen. Lord Chaitanya is going to make it happen. But he needs people to assist him, and that's us. But if we don't assist him, he'll get somebody to assist him. It'll happen. Can you see from down there? You can see the... Okay. Okay, good. All right. So here's... Someone read?
We predicted
our founder Acharya's advent. After 5,000 years, my mantra Upashaka, worshipper of the holy name, will appear in this world and spread the chanting of my holy name everywhere. Lord Krishna to Ganga Devi, Brahma Vivarta Purana.
So Prabhupada was a person that was not just some guru that came and got lucky and picked up some hippies and turned them into happies. He actually was sent by Krishna from the spiritual world to do this work. Prabhupada talked about that. One time, one devotee related that story when he was with Prabhupada and Prabhupada was talking. It was a quiet time when Prabhupada usually, when you were with Prabhupada, he's always talking about Krishna or about spreading Krishna consciousness. He was never quiet. He was always thinking how to spread Krishna consciousness or enlightening us in who is Krishna. But this time it was unusually quiet, and then the silence was broken after some time, and he said, I was with Krishna in the spiritual world, and Krishna told me, come to the material world. And I said, material world? I responded to Krishna, horrible place. Horrible place. Some of you will agree and some of you may not, but it's a horrible place. and we won't go into that. But Krishna responded, he said, no, actually, you go and preach and you write some books and I'll protect you. And then Prabhupada said, I came. Krishna asked me to do this work, which was Lord Chaitanya's prediction for the world. Prabhupada became that person that was selected to do this work. He came directly from the spiritual world. So this statement here kind of indicates this is Krishna speaking to Ganga Devi. And this statement was made 5,000 years before Prabhupada's appearance. And this is one of three statements that are similar. One was made by Lord Chaitanya, my Sanapati Bhakta will come. He was speaking to Narada Muni, and he was referring to Sanapati Bhakta means the best of all bhaktas. He will also come and take the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra everywhere. And the third prediction was made by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur when he had a vision. He was looking in the area of the yoga pit where Lord Chaitanya actually appeared. And in that vision, he saw people from all of the 5 races holding hands and chanting Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. Then he could understand there would be a person who would make that happen. And therefore that was the last and latest of all the prediction. And that was only about 100 years ago. Even sooner than, even a little bit more than that. Yeah. So Prabhupada was a Nitya Siddha. That means he came from the spiritual world to do this mission. He had no karma. I'll read something. It's on my phone. Maybe you've heard this one. If I can find it. Okay. Okay. Let me find it. It's really worth listening to. Okay. Okay, listen to this. This is Govinda Dasi, one of Srila Prabhupada's first female disciples, was looking through her attic. She had joined in around 1968 in San Francisco. She was looking through her attic and she found these old newspapers. They were from India. She had brought them back from India. And she found this article by an astrologer, and this is what the astrologer said. This was about Prabhupada. This was written in 1970. Nobody can read this chart. So they're referring to Prabhupada. If they say they can, they are simply lying. This personality comes and goes as his own sweet will. He is not bound by anybody or anything. The stars are lined up perfectly. There's no question of karma. He is working directly under the will of God. Last line. And when he writes, his pen does not have in it ink. His pen has in it fire, which will turn the ignorance, which will burn the ignorance of the entire world. Powerful, huh? That was 1970, even before Prabhupada's mission unfolded. That was an astrologer, so yeah. So we get a little insight in this personality of Prabhupada. People say when he used to walk, he hardly touched the ground either. There were stories with him walking above the ground. So Prabhupada was not part of this world. He just came to do this work, and when he was done, he left. Okay, so Prabhupada, what is he doing there?
He's translating.
Writing letters? Okay. Okay, someone can read?
Alone in America, Srila Prabhupada aimed to revive Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's Gaudiya mission.
So this is a letter. He's writing this letter.
I came here to study the situation and I find it very nice. And if you are also agreeable to cooperate, it will be all very nice by the will of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada. If you agree, then take it for granted that I am one of the workers of the Sri Mayapur Chaitanya Matra. I have no ambition for becoming the proprietor of any matra or mandir, but I want working facilities. Letter to Bhakti Vilasa Tirtha Maharaj, 8 November 1965.
Yeah. So he wrote that asking for help. He had come to America, he observed the situation, got something started, but he realized he would need help. So he asked the Gaudiya Math. Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj was very favorable to Prabhupada. But what was the response? No response. He asked, just send some money, we can build a temple. No response. Send some brahmacharis, we can start preaching. No response. Everything fell on deaf ears. So Prabhupada understood that he would have to do it without the support of his Gaudiya Math. Yeah. Microphone? Yeah.
Guru Maharaj, was there a reason why Krishna would have made an arrangement like that where he wouldn't get any help? Was there a particular reason that happened?
You can go for that, for the underlying reason, just to show the quality of Srila Prabhupada. He was not disturbed or defeated by reverses or apparently obstacles. I mean, he had to cross the ocean on an ocean liner, had 2 heart attacks, didn't think he was going to make it. I mean, Krishna could have sent him an airplane ticket. There was airplanes in those days. But it didn't happen. So not only did he start and begin this movement, everything was with great effort and a lot of what we say. Things that he didn't expect but happened. I mean, we'll get into one of them. It'll come up in this particular presentation. Some of the things that Prabhupada had to go through. I mean, that would have discouraged any 100 men. Prabhupada was never discouraged because he kept his focus on the instructions of his spiritual master. This is the instruction of my spiritual master, therefore it will happen. Yeah, he had a complete faith in Guru. Okay, so this was, okay, next one.
From obscurity to Swamiji.
Okay.
Empowered by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his spiritual forefathers, Prabhupada inspired a growing flock of followers. that summer to chant Hare Krishna and take up the process of Bhakti Yoga. No small miracle in 1960s New York City, the capital of do your own thing.
I remember I was around that time, and one of the things we used to chant was, don't trust anyone over 30. Of course, we never really thought that we would be over 30 someday also. But that was the mantra. Don't trust anyone over 30. And do your own thing. And if everybody was doing something, you had to think of a new thing to do. That would be your thing. So it was like that. It was individualism at its highest. Do your own thing. So Prabhupada tried to organize. It was like sometimes we say when you try to herd a bunch of cats. Have you ever tried to herd cats together? Or monkeys. You can't. Dogs you can do, but not cats. They go their own ways. So this is Prabhupada. I mean, people who, drugged out hippies, and you'll see. So Prabhupada took it up, and Prabhupada came, and he said, when I came, I was looking for first-class men. No first-class men. Second-class men, I would accept. No second class. He said only third and fourth class, so I had to work with. And it was even less than that. He said, then he did say, there was one first-class person, that was Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, which he was from Manipur. He was a student of chemical biology in UCLA in California. When Prabhupada went to California, he met him. And he became a great asset in assisting Prabhupada in spreading Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada was dealing with, people who would chant Hare Krishna and then go out and smoke, some dope and come back in and say, all right, Hare Krishna is really nice. Or do something else, which I won't mention. So, this is, and so who knows where this place is here?
Tompkins Square Park.
Huh?
Tompkins Square Park.
Tompkins Square Park. And this is the famous tree where Prabhupada gave a talk. And these are some of the local people who came. They just sat around Prabhupada and he was just talking. Then I think he started a little kirtan. There was no drums in those days. Prabhupada had this bongo drum, a little tom-tom drum. And he would go, you can hear it on some of the old recordings. He would beat that drum and sing the Hare Krishna mantra. People came and they actually danced. So someone asked Prabhupada, what is a hippie? Prabhupada said, something extraordinary.
First he said that you know better.
That's the other answer. That was the second time he was asked. You know better than I. But one time he said, something extraordinary. It doesn't fit into the 8,400,000 species. You should have seen, the hippies nowadays are really bad. They don't even come close to what we were like. I wasn't into the hippie movement. I was a little different. But some of the people that I knew, it's like, whoa. They didn't bathe for 1 month, We were making devotees, they bring them into the temple and all of a sudden all of them, the paint would curl on the walls. They take please don't take your shoes off. When I was running a temple in Cincinnati, Ohio, there's one guy would come in, he'd take his shoes off, everybody go run out the door. The only ones that stayed was the ones that really wanted prasadam. It was wild. So, Yeah, bathing was considered to be, just not necessary. So, yeah, and then all kinds of drugs. It was just the whole gamut of drugs. This is what Prabhupada had to deal with. Think about it. Here's a person who is like the best of all, and he's dealing with and trying to make them devotees. It's a miracle, actually. Okay.
It worked. By late November, after a few groups of devotees had received initiation, one of the early initiates approached Prabhupada. Swamiji, what did you say the rules are for this practice? Just what Prabhupada had been waiting to hear, for he knew they would follow the rules only when they were ready. The next day, November 25th, 1966, Prabhupada posted the regulated principles of Krishna consciousness on his apartment's bathroom door.
This was no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat. I don't think you can read it. It's so hard to read. But
This is there in the Ludhiana temple, Guru Maharaj.
yeah. Well, there's the seven principles that govern our movement, but this is the standard for individuals. And then Prabhupada explains no meat eating means no fish, no eggs, no coffee, no tea. It's all mentioned in here. So what is the significant point when you read this? Aside,
That Prabhupada didn't force people, he waited till they were ready.
yeah, Prabhupada didn't force anybody. He just served, preached, and encouraged people. And he waited to them to come forward rather than... And there's one story, we hear this, where Prabhupada would cook. They'd have programs like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, throughout the week, 7 o'clock, and Prabhupada would cook. And then after his lecture, they would serve out. And then after everyone was done eating, they'd leave. And Prabhupada would clean up and wash him. He'd do everything. One time, when after the serve out, 2 young men came to Prabhupada and said, "Can we help you clean up?" Prabhupada said, "I was waiting for someone to ask." Yeah, he didn't push it. He knew that in this particular group, you don't tell them what to do. You encourage them and let them come forward. So Prabhupada did it by his own purity. And the way he dealt with people was very kind and always ready to answer their questions like that. And they had a lot of questions. That was Prabhupada. Okay, so, yeah. Where's this?
San Francisco?
San Francisco, yeah. What's the name of that place?
Golden Gate Park.
Golden Gate Park, yeah.
In January 1967, Prabhupada followed the counterculture trail to San Francisco, where disciples had opened ISKCON's second temple. There, he inspired a new wave of devotees to chant Hare Krishna and serve Lord Chaitanya's mission. As in New York, the young aspirants marveled at Prabhupada's pace, a whirlpool of chanting, teaching, worshipping, cooking, public preaching, private speaking, initiating newcomers and translating scriptures during the wee hours while everyone else slept.
The Prabhupada was like a whirlwind. He had gone through 2 heart attacks and now he was just going. And using whatever sources he could to open up. He opened up San Francisco, then Los Angeles, and then Montreal, and then Santa Fe, New Mexico. Prabhupada was just going. And of course, he would hardly even sleep. He would take rest. Prabhupada said, I used to take rest between 10:30 and 11, and I'd get up at 12:30, 1 hour and a half. And he'd begin his translation. And then he'd go into the morning hours. This was later in the years. And then after translating, then he would chant his rounds, and after chanting his rounds, he'd come to the temple. He'd have a morning walk and go to the temple. Arrived there just in time for the greeting of the deities. And then, after greeting of the deities, he would sit and offer class. And after class, he would go to his place and take a little breakfast and take a little rest. And after resting for about a half hour or an hour, he'd get up and start dictating letters and getting massages and like that. So Prabhupada he never stopped. He was going. He was over 70 too. But then, after this, something happened. So how would you describe that look of Prabhupada? How about, I'm going to ask one person. Amrita Nam, how would you describe that?
He's upset with something?
He doesn't look happy, right?
Yeah.
Can you describe it in a more broader terminology?
He wants something to happen right away.
He's sad looking, isn't it? Very sad.
How to care, how to solve,
Looking upset.
how to help.
Yeah, I think being sad, upset. Some people say he was in a pensive mood, and then this mood followed after being in a and this is the reason why.
My Guru Maharaj, he was no ordinary spiritual master. He says, wiping away the tears, he saved me. Later Swamiji tells us what we should have always known. There is no one to replace him. The very idea is insulting. If someone comes and tells you something different, he says, you will be confused. The Hare Krishna explosion.
Yeah, so what happened was Prabhupada got it'll come up, he got a third heart attack. And so, seems like this slide is out of line with the next slide, but anyway. And so they thought Prabhupada might leave, because Prabhupada said that this last heart attack I was supposed to leave. He said, the doctors told me, the astrologer told me if I had a third one, I would be the last. And so they thought, well, if Prabhupada leaves, who can replace him? So Prabhupada's responding to that. And then he spoke like this. He said, my spiritual master was not an ordinary person. In other words, no one could replace the spiritual master. Because then again, the devotees didn't know that the relationship with the spiritual master carries on even after departure. And in many cases, it also becomes stronger based on what the teachings are. So he said, if someone else comes and says anything different, you'll be confused. You'll be confused. Even if they say one line different, then you'll be, who should I accept? Like that. And then you'll lose faith, either in one or the other. So Prabhupada was responding to that. Okay.
Why did he say that? Or any
So one devotee said that. Okay, who should we get to replace you when you're gone? And that was Mukunda. And Prabhupada immediately became very pensive at first, and then he closed his eyes, and then tears were coming, and then he spoke what we just read. Yeah, he was kind of heartbroken that the devotees would think someone could be in his place. So here's Prabhupada, jovial.
Swamiji, you can call me Gurudeva or Guru Maharaj or Prabhupada, Govinda Dasi. Well, that's three, we need one. So which one is the best? Swamiji, Srila Prabhupada is nice, that is the best. Govinda Dasi, from today you will be called Srila Prabhupada. May 1968, Boston.
What happened was Govinda Dasi's husband said to Prabhupada, I want to call her Govindaji. He was referring to her. Prabhupada said, no. And then he said, why? And he said, that's third class, Govindaji. Ji means, it's an affectionate term, but Prabhupada called it third class, yeah. So then, when Govinda, she heard it, Govinda Dasi heard it, she said, well, if it's third class, why are we calling you Swamiji? And Prabhupada said, that doesn't matter. She said, no, we want to give you the best name. So then Prabhupada made this statement. You can call me Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, or Prabhupada. And then she said, that's three. Give me one. And Prabhupada said, all right, call me Srila Prabhupada. That's the best. Because Prabhupada said there are so many Gurudevs, so many Guru Maharajas. But Prabhupada means that person who is the best of all Prabhus. There's Prabhu and then there's Prabhupada. So the best of all devotees is Prabhupada. Prabhupada adopted that name. But what happened was that when this was later, and he had to put it on all stationery, and that he would be referred to Srila Prabhupada. That was also the terminology of Bhaktisiddhanta. They would call him Srila Prabhupada. So some of his godbrothers wrote him and saying, why are you taking that name? That's Guru Maharaj's title. But he sat there and he explained to them. He said, I didn't pick it, and they asked me. And then he explained what is the role. And finally he pacified them, but it was a kind of a heated discussion. But then again, what happened was the devotees, after hearing that, they weren't putting the word Prabhupada on the stationery, they kept saying Bhakti Vedanta. Or else they were using their own stationery to write Prabhupada without including Prabhupada's title as Prabhupada. And therefore it looked like there was some kind of dissension amongst the devotees. They didn't want to call him Prabhupada. And then when we opened one of the temples, I think it was in San Francisco, they had a placard out there describing this is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And they didn't put Prabhupada's name there. Founder Acharya A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami. They didn't put Founder Acharya, they just put A.C. Bhakti Vedanta. And Prabhupada became concerned. Because he wanted to establish that what his position was and what he's teaching would be the foundation for the next 10,000 years, at least. And so it looks like Prabhupada is a little proud, or he's trying to put himself in. He did that because he knew it was necessary for the followers to have that understanding of his relationship. He also started Guru Puja. Now, Guru Puja is done for the Guru once a year on his appearance day. It's not done every day. We do it every day. Prabhupada started it. Why? Because we didn't know what a Guru was. in order to help us understand more the position of a guru and our relationship with him, he established this Guru Puja every day, which has never been done before. So Prabhupada did, like you say, you were mentioning Amritanam, about the details and the principles. So he changed some details in order to fortify the principles. That's the details are meant to give strength and fortification to the principles, like that. So Prabhupada did that, and not to place himself in a position of glorification, but to help us understand what is our relationship with him, and how we should see him, and how we should also follow him. So that was important. Okay, any questions about this so far?
Puja is just done in ISKCON, not in Gaudiya Math?
I don't know of any other place that they do it. Of course, I don't go outside, but Guru Puja is done once a year on the appearance day of the spiritual master. Not every day. But Prabhupada established it. But in our society, because we have so many gurus, we were doing that also. After Prabhupada left, all of the gurus were having Guru Puja every day. But then it became a problem. So when the GBC dealt with it and said we should just do it for Prabhupada. And everyone else complied with that, because it would have been confusing in having two Guru Pujas in the temple. Who knows where that is? Somebody from America, tell me who it is. Okay, you're qualified to say that because you're not from London. Oh, okay. Yeah. Prabhupada spent so much time in Bhaktivedanta Manor. He liked it there. And when he left India to go to Gitanagari, during his last days, his idea was to establish Van Ashram in Gitanagari. He stopped in London and stayed in Bhaktivedanta for at least almost a month. But his health again started to become less, and then he returned to India. Otherwise, he was on his way to America. So he liked Bhaktivedanta Manor. Anything else? Any questions on so far, what we went over? Okay. So where is this picture at? New Vrindavan. And this of course is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. It's appropriate he's in front of Shastra. He was absorbed in Shastra. Okay.
As members of the Krishna consciousness movement, we belong to the family or the cyclic succession of Saraswati Goswami, and thus we are known as Saraswatas. Obeisances are therefore offered to the spiritual master as a Saraswat Deva or a member of Saraswat family. Namaste Saraswati Deva, whose mission is to broadcast the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauravani Pracharine, and to fight with the impersonalists and voidists. Nirvisesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Tarine.
In 1970, a controversy arose, and it started in New Vrindavan, the place where all controversy starts in ISKCON. Hardball. And there was four sannyasis, and they started to preach to the general body of devotees that Prabhupada is not saying it, but we know he's Vishnu. He's not mentioning it. He knows he is actually Vishnu. But we should understand his real position. He is the Supreme. So, and they were holding meetings, and the community was getting really, really divided. Some people were thinking, yes, what they're saying is real. Others were saying, no, he's never said that, and he never wants us to call us God. So it actually became quite uproarious. And then Prabhupada was in the South Pacific at that time. He was preaching. He happened to be in Japan. So the word got back to Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada gave some instructions. He said, these 4 sannyasis should immediately leave our society, and they should go out on their own and preach and stay. They can't stay in any of our temples. And so they followed Prabhupada. 4 of them left. It was Vishnujan Maharaj. It was Brahmananda, Gargamuni, and one more. Who was the other one? Subal. There was 4 sannyasis. And they traveled. They traveled all over the United States. They were living wherever they could find a place to live. They weren't allowed to stay anywhere.